What's going on, guys? Real quick, I just wanted to remind you that once T3 Time to Drive hits 10,000 subscribers, you will have 3 chances to win 3 awesome watches. I've partnered with Vero and Orient, and Vero is giving away one of their new Vero Workhorse watches, and Orient is being very generous, giving us 2 watches to give away to some of my lucky viewers. Now, if every person here watching this episode just hit the subscribe button on my Drive channel, again, it's free, doesn't take anything away from you guys, and you'll get more awesome content from me and my team, we will hit 10,000 subscribers in no time, and I will supercharge my 944, potentially blowing the engine, having a huge headache, and it'll make for some pretty interesting content, and you guys can enter the giveaway. So don't miss out. Again, please, if each person watching this just hits the subscribe button on that channel, you will help me out so much. Thanks, guys. Back to the episode. Everybody. When people find out I'm a watch dealer, I often get hit with the same 20 questions. The first few being,
my grandpa gave me a watch, and it looks kind of like this. Well, so, okay, it's round, and then there's this, thing on the dial, and, there's something, like, sticking out of that, and so how much would you think it's worth?
the next question being,
Do you have a Rolex?
and kind of in the same vein of that one, another great question I get regularly,
Can you get me a Rolex below MSRP?
but one of the most common questions I get as a watch dealer is something that I figured I'd finally just have to make a video on, and it's about diamond watches.
Do you sell diamond watches? What do you think about diamond-encrusted watches?
Are diamond watches more valuable than other watches?
Well, today we're going to be focusing on that specifically, blingy watches. It is 2:46 p.m. Let's get down to business. Alright guys, so a couple years ago I made an episode reviewing a very gaudy Rolex President. It had this custom bark bracelet and it had some diamonds on it. It was just disgusting. It was a terrible atrocity, something that should have never seen the light of day in my opinion. And when you compare that watch to my personal President, you can see that although one looks much more flashy, another one is clearly much more refined and elegant and just wearable. Like putting them back to back, it kind of makes me sick to my stomach that someone took this watch and was like, let's massacre it. But the truth is, not everyone sees it the way I do. Some people really, really love these flashy, blingy things I would consider to be kind of gaudy and gauche. And all you have to do is Google iced out watches or flooded Rolex. And there's a whole bunch of examples to choose from, which is kind of insane, that term, flooded.
Yo, flooded Rollie.
It's like, if I have a flooded watch, I'm having a bad day. And I know this from experience when someone dropped my Breitling Navitimer in a pool and it chilled there for like a few minutes before I realized it. And then, it was flooded. It didn't make my watch any cooler. Well, it kind of did, because now there's like patination, accelerated aging on the dial. But I don't think it's what these people mean when they're searching for a flooded watch. We'll talk about this further. In fact, let's take a look at some of these iced out watches, flooded watches, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so the first watch we have here is a diamond iced out Rolex, date just 41, 25 carats of diamonds, custom dial. This looks like something you would get out of a coin machine. It's just totally disgusting how the dial is just filled with diamonds, right? Along with the case and bracelet and the bezel, of course. But the dial, how it's filled with diamonds, and the only thing that isn't exposed, the only thing that is exposed without diamonds are the Rolex signage and then the date just signage. And it looks like 2 afterthoughts, like 2 little plaques, and it's just so gross. It's grotesque. I don't like it. If you showed me that, I would assume it's fake, honestly. The next up being a date just, and this one looks to be yellow gold, has bigger diamonds around the bezel, and then of course smaller ones comprising the case and bracelet. I guess that bezel bumps it up to 45 millimeters with 15.5 carats worth of diamonds. I don't know why this looks good to people. I don't okay, it has to be a few reasons, right? And maybe we can brainstorm this in the comment section. Is it that it's just expensive? Like, that's what's impressive about it, and so because it's impressive and expensive, it's cool? Or do people actually think this is beautiful because diamonds catch light and it's blingy? It like the glitz and the glam? Or is it like kind of an amalgamation of those things? I don't know. Now, guys, when we're talking about flooded watches, it's not just Rolexes, okay? We see APs, we see Pateks, we see Richard Mille's, we see Cartiers, and of course Rolexes. But here's an AP. This looks to be a Royal Oak offshore, but honestly, when you look at this, it looks like fool's gold. Like, you know, fool's gold, how it has these like craggy, blingy bits. It looks like tinfoil, like wrinkled up tinfoil and fool's gold. This doesn't look impressive to me. It looks very, very ugly, especially the indexes, the numerals, and that date window. This is just, it's an atrocity. It's hard to believe this is real because it's just disgusting. Next up, we have a day date. We have a president. This is white gold, 41 millimeter, $67,000. Ooh, it's marked down from $77,000. Wow. 24 carats worth of diamonds. They say we have added 1,210 diamonds total. VS2 quality. So pretty good diamonds here. Oh, you know what's gross? Yo, zoom in on this picture, Gato. On the picture where the person's holding the watch to the side, looks like their fingernails are super dirty. That's as someone who's like on camera with their hands a lot, I have like cuts and stuff on my hands. Man, my mom would be super disappointed if my fingernails were like dirty on camera. She'd be like, I taught you better than that. Anyway, this is a disgusting watch, and that person's fingernails are disgusting. And finally, one that I think is the worst of all, honestly, Cartier. Cartier is one of the most elegant, interesting watchmakers on the face of the earth, in my opinion. And this Santos with custom diamonds, they've ruined it. They've massacred it. And then the suggested ones below it are also Cartier, and they're just destroyed. I don't like the way this looks. It's not impressive to me. The mere fact that it's expensive, it doesn't make it cool to me. This one's marked down from 26,000 to 20,000. It's just not appealing to me. So I want to reiterate, I don't care if you love this style of watch. I'm not going to apologize for my opinions about these kinds of watches, but it's also just that, my opinion. So in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't really matter all that much at all. So, take this episode with a grain of salt. You might love the watches I just showed on screen, and that's awesome. So I guess the question is, why do I have such disdain and such a distaste for these watches? Well, number one, they look ugly, in my opinion. So I just don't like the way they look. And furthermore, I don't really like gemstones all that much. The closest I'd get would be like the Cartier sapphire on the crown of most Cartiers. That's like the blingiest I get, really. I think that like a diamond encrusted watch takes away from the overall elegance and case shape and design of a watch. People have spent time designing the watch with all these different facets working with one another. The dial, the indexes, the handset, the case shape with the lugs flowing into the bracelet. All of this is taken into consideration when they're designing a watch, and when you start putting all these other shapes on it, it kind of ruins it for me. It kind of breaks it apart too much, and I just don't like the way that looks. Another reason I don't really like it is because although I don't collect for like value purposes, it does diminish the value of the watch from a collector standpoint. However, from a raw material standpoint, they're obviously much more expensive when you're adding, expensive materials to a watch. So that's something to consider, I suppose. And then the final thing that I think is one of the worst things about these watches, they attract a lot of attention. And with the way things are going in most of the world's cities at this point in 2022, I'm not sure you want that kind of attention. Someone was just killed broad daylight in a restaurant here in LA for his watch and chain, some rapper I've never heard of, but it's unfortunate for sure, and it just happened here in LA. So it might seem cool to flex with one of these watches, but it could cost you your life, honestly. So all in all, I don't really like diamonds. I don't really like them on my watches. The closest I would get would be a Cartier gemstone on a Cartier crown, but let me know what you think. Maybe I was a bit too harsh. I don't know. I'm still not going to apologize. Let me know what you think, guys. And there you have it, another episode in the books. I will catch you on the next one. Please subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, we have a lot of things going over on the Time Teller shop. A Black Friday is coming around the corner, and we are going to do our yearly Black Friday sale. So a little heads up on that. And of course, we have the podcast that we're uploading once a week. We have T3 Time to Drive. Subscribe to all of those. Again, once we hit 10,000 subscribers on T3 Time to Drive, I am supercharging my 944. And Orient is giving away 2 watches, and Vero is giving away 1 watch. So that's 3 chances to win. Don't miss out. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay blessed. Like, comment, and subscribe. I'm Jory Goodman, the Time Teller. And always remember, I didn't invent time. I just tell it.